Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Farzy Show. My name is Marc Farzy. A little show we do here called the Farzy Show here at the Steven Sanger Studios. It was an incredible weekend. Absolutely incredible weekend. I've seen all the piping hot takes about how it's the greatest football weekend ever in the history of humanity. And I have to agree with every one of those piping hot takes. Because remember this, folks, as I like to say, it's not a hot take if you believe it. So I'm watching the games over this weekend. I'm watching the Titans lose. Thank you, by the way, because I had those nice little Bengals on the money line. Down the Bills, y'all. And I watched the games yesterday. And Tampa Bay, they lose. That was great. And then possibly the greatest football game I have ever seen was played. And I had the Bills on the money line. I was like, let me just take this shot at the Bills, put a couple of bucks on them. And I'm watching this game unfold. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm dazzled. I am dazzled by the football gods and what they gave us over not just last night, but in general over this weekend. It was the heavyweight championship fight between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Those two quarterbacks going at it, making huge throws. Patrick Mahomes' escapability and his arm just absolutely insane in that game. And I'm watching the Rams Buccaneers. And I look at it and I go, it's pretty down here, 27 to 10, whatever it was. And I go, if anybody can do it, it's Tom Brady. If anybody can come back from this, it's Tom Brady. Then like 2.5 minutes left in the third quarter, and Tampa gets the turnover. They get the touchdown from Leonard Fournette, and all of a sudden it's looking like, oh my goodness, is Tampa gonna weasel their way back into this game? And sure enough, they did. And then I look at Patrick Mahomes get the ball back with 13 seconds left, trying to drive for a field goal, and two things were amazing on that. One, the obvious, Patrick Mahomes leading the team up the field to at least get a field goal to tie it to force overtime with 13 seconds on the clock. The other thing that was amazing was, and we know Andy Reid pretty well in this city, Andy Reid had all three of his timeouts left. What? He has never managed the clock better in his life than the final 13 seconds of that. Actually, I can't even say for the final 13 seconds. But he's never managed the clock better than the way he did throughout that game, especially in the second half. The fact that he had all three of his timeouts for 13 seconds left. Absolutely insane. But Sean McDermott, why aren't you kicking the ball like in a swim kick? Why are you not run some time off the clock that way? My only thinking there was that he was just terrified, absolutely terrified of a return. And instead of even giving the opportunity to the Kansas City Chiefs to try to get a big return on that kickoff, I thought he just said, heck with it. They got 13 seconds. I got a pretty damn good defense out there. Good luck to you. And, Patrick Mahomes didn't really need that much luck because he's awesome. And then all their timeouts. So for me, it was just an insane game, insane weekend of football. I watched it all unfold, and I couldn't get enough of it. And yes, for all the people out there that need to know whether or not they need to redo the NFL overtime rules, we talk about this all the time, and I feel like we've only talked about it more since they redid the overtime rules, where you could get the walk-off touchdown in the top of the inning, meaning only one team gets possession if they score a touchdown. That is just stupid to me. And I got to give credit where credit's due. I do think the great Bob Costas, American broadcasting legend Bob Costas, summed it up the best when he said that a touchdown like that is like hitting a walk-off home run in the top of the ninth inning. And you can't do that. That just doesn't make any sense. The other team should get in that bat, and they do in baseball. It's the one thing football could probably take from baseball. But for me, I don't understand how you could have only one team have the possession. They have to get a touchdown. Okay, fine. But then if the other team doesn't score a touchdown, the other team doesn't tie it back up, well, then the game's over. But to only give one possession to one team is awful. And last night is a perfect example of why you need to keep on going and give a possession to the other team. At least one. Because I never wanted that game to end last night in Kansas City. It was insane. And Andy Reid had a line of lines last night when he was talking to Patrick Mahomes before he went back onto the field with 13 seconds left in the fourth quarter there with the Bills winning, leading by a field goal. He went up to Patrick Mahomes before he went onto the field, and Andy Reid said to Mahomes, he said, when things look grim, be the Grim Reaper. And Patrick Mahomes went out there, and he reaped some grim attitudes there from the Buffalo Bills and their fan base who thought they finally had it. And I give a lot of credit to Sean McDermott, the coach that we talked about a lot here last week, with Quentin Michael, who played under him when they were both here in Philadelphia, both as a secondary coach and then as the defensive coordinator. And he came out of the gates firing. He was going for it on fourth down. He would not be denied. He had his team keep the tempo up in that first possession, and they set the tone. And 14-14 going into halftime. And in the final 2 minutes of that game, for those people who didn't know this, final 2 minutes of that game and overtime, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, 15 of 20 for 290 yards and 4 touchdowns. But wait, there's more. The numbers in the final moments of this game are off the charts. Here you go. Last 2 minutes of regulation, there were 3 lead changes. There was 1 tie, 25 points scored in the last 2 minutes of the game. 25 points. I had the over last night, by the way. Thank God for that. Allen and Mahomes combined for 3 passing touchdowns and 221 yards. That's just in the final 2 minutes of the game. Then with regulation, it was 290. I'm amazed. Now, what does it all mean for the Philadelphia Eagles? All right, what does it all mean here? And I don't like doing comparisons. As a matter of fact, I hate doing comparisons because people never hear the word like when you do a comparison. Oh, he shoots a basketball kind of like Michael Jordan. And it's like, oh, now he's Michael Jordan. No. The word like is in there. Similar to. Not identical, but similar to. And, I joined in some of the rage, and maybe I put a little, quarter in the rage machine last night when I sarcastically tweeted out that, what did I say? I said, the Eagles are right there with these teams. Now, fortunately, people that know me know that I tend to be rather sarcastic. It's a fluent language of mine. And I watched that game last night, and I'm watching all the games over the weekend. I'm thinking, this is the Eagles. Like, think about this. The Eagles were a junior. What did I say? They were a freshman. The Eagles were a freshman team going on against varsity in their game against the Buccaneers. So then I watched the Buccaneers get manhandled in the first half, plus by the I almost called them St. Louis, by the LA Rams. And then I see the Bucs come back and make a game of it. But then I also go on to watch these other games. The one last night, obviously the Chiefs and the Bills. And I'm like, the Eagles don't even, they're playing a different sport. They're playing at such a high level that you can't even compare the two. And then I start thinking to myself, you know what? How far off are they? And the answer I came to, the conclusion I came to was pretty damn far. But then I started to break it down a little bit more specifically, and I started to think about it more from a quarterback standpoint. And here's where the comparison comes in. And I'm going to break my own rule. I'm going to make a comparison. I broke my own rule a couple of weeks ago when I talked about how somebody reached out. Our friend Ari, reached out to us on the West Coast there, and he said, can you think of a quarterback that learned how to read a defense? Can you think of a quarterback that got better at his progressions as his career went on? And the name I came up with was Alex Smith. He was a one-read guy under Harbaugh. That's how he kind of tried to get the most out of being a top pick. When Harbaugh took over the San Francisco 49ers, he progressed Alex Smith to just progress, but he progressed him to rely more on his athletic ability than he did his arm. But he was a one-read guy, and then he went to Andy Reid, and Andy Reid had him going through his progressions a lot better, and he wasn't that one-and-done type of guy. He wasn't that one-read-and-go type of guy that he was in San Francisco. He changed. He got better later in his career when he joined up the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid, obviously. But he was still a guy that could post a 100 passer rating, which in his prime was still worth bragging about in the NFL. Now it's like everybody has a 100 passer rating who's worth bragging about. So now when you look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, you think, okay, what can he develop into? Can he go through that type of maturation process like an Alex Smith did? And I see everyone start to rip Jalen Hurts. The Eagles, they need a quarterback, and Jalen Hurts is nowhere near these guys. And you're correct. However, I'm not judging Jalen Hurts versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes last night, or even Matthew Stafford and Tom Brady from early in the afternoon, or Joe Burrow, for instance, taking on the Tennessee Titans. I'm not even looking at that. And then the wild game that was at Lambeau Field that I haven't mentioned yet, but that was insane with the San Francisco 49ers winning that one. But I look at Jalen Hurts, not versus those quarterbacks now, but I look at Jalen Hurts in his first year as a starting quarterback against a guy like Josh Allen, for instance, in his first year as a starting quarterback. Because let's not forget, Josh Allen wasn't turning heads immediately out of Buffalo. Sat on the bench for a good amount of his rookie year, then came in as a first-time full-time starter in his second year in the NFL. And if you actually go through the numbers, and this is what surprised me, because when I was seeing people rip Jalen Hurts, and one thing that it always bothers me is that he's so young. He's 23 years old. So I'm like, you're going to judge a guy after, first off, 1 year as a starting quarterback, and then you're going to judge that guy with a rookie head coach, and you're also going to judge that guy based on the idea that he's 23 and he's going through all of that. Okay. And while he did that, he still got his team to the playoffs. Okay. All right, we're gonna say he sucks and he's got no future and he's a career backup after all of that. Okay, that seems interesting to me. That's why I'm willing to give him that second year next season, obviously. So then I just, I was like, I don't really remember Josh Allen being incredible when he came into the NFL. So let me go back and look at some numbers. So for the sake of numbers here, and I'm the guy that always says numbers never lie, but they do deceive. I just found this interesting. For the people that say there's a far cry between Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. And again, I'm not comparing Josh Allen, who we saw last night. I'm comparing Josh Allen's first year as a starter to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts had a better passer rating than Josh Allen in their first year as starting quarterbacks in the NFL. 87.2 to 85.3. Jalen Hurts actually played less games. People think, 17-game season. He played 15 games to Josh Allen's 16 games. And Jalen Hurts had a completion percentage of 61 to Josh Allen's completion percentage of 59. And I just thought those are some interesting numbers. Now, interception-wise, Josh Allen threw 9, as did Jalen Hurts. Josh Allen threw 20 touchdowns to Jalen Hurts' 16. And not to get too lost in the numbers, but the fact that the numbers are even comparable was a little bit surprising to me. I thought the passing numbers would be off the charts incredible for Josh Allen and blowing Jalen Hurts out of the water when it came to anything, when it came to throwing the football. And I couldn't believe it that they were that similar. So all I'm saying is, for anyone that wants to look at Jalen Hurts right now and go, this guy sucks, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, Josh Allen came into this league similarly to Jalen Hurts. Phenomenal athlete, could make better arm, granted, better arm. Obviously, I want to acknowledge that. But he also learned how to read an NFL defense. He learned how to take what the defenses were giving him and exploiting them. And you know what he did? He worked his ass off. He kept his athleticism. And he learned how to exploit what defenses were giving them. So if Josh Allen can do that, why can't a guy like Jalen Hurts do that, who also was willing to work his ass off, came into the league a great athlete, definitely needs to improve on his arm strength, definitely needs to improve on his accuracy. But it's funny, even when we talk about how much you talk about accuracy, Jalen Hurts had a better completion percentage than Josh Allen in his first year as a starter in the NFL. Now, what did Buffalo do after they saw what they had in their quarterback? And now, I'll also say this. They were willing to give him a little bit more time, being that he was a 7th overall pick, and Jalen Hurts was a 2nd-round pick for the Eagles. But what did they do after they saw that hard work and that progression? They rewarded him by going out and getting Stephon Diggs. Like, that's not too bad right there. That's pretty good. And I also want to say that he had some pretty good running backs. I mean, Singletary was obviously there his first year as a starter in the NFL. He also had Frank Gore up there in Buffalo his first year as a starter in NFL. So, for me, there is hope. That's really my point. That if anyone wants to look at there and just say, Jalen Hurts ain't it. What were you saying about Josh Allen in his first year as a starter in 2019? What were you saying about him then? Were you saying this guy sucks? And then all of a sudden you turn around last night and go, this guy's incredible. The Eagles will never get this guy. I'm just saying it's still possible. Now, if you go by the numbers and you go by the work ethic of these two players, why can't one at least get close to the other? I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is. I'm saying like. That's where the comparison comes in. Not even in the same breath, same sentence. Well, You can go to the numbers in some things, and if you go to the numbers in this, at least it is encouraging about Jalen Hurts. Moral of the story, folks, is I'm trying to give you hope for the future, and I don't think it's grasping at straws to make that comparison or acknowledge that those numbers exist between these two quarterbacks being pretty similar. It gives you hope. We go, all right, how about it, Jalen? Let's see what happens. Now, I did have one person reach out to me. They wanted to make a wager with me on social media. They said, hey, Mark, you want to care to make it interesting about whether or not Jalen Hurts will be the starting quarterback going into next year? And I said, no, I really don't, because my point is I think he should be the starting quarterback going into next year. But I don't think you can prove what Howie and Jeffrey Lurie are thinking about the future. I don't think you could go out there and prove that, oh, well, no, we have no interest in Russell Wilson. No, we have no interest in Aaron Rodgers. Oh, that was fun. And no, we don't have interest in, Deshaun Watson or any of the quarterback class. They're going to go to the Senior Bowl. They always do. They love quarterbacks. I don't know if you know this or not. Quarterback factory. And then they're going to scout free agency in the trade market. So I don't think you can prove what they're thinking, because they're not going to let you know what they're thinking. They're going to say all the right things, similarly to what they said at their press conference last week between Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman. I have zero doubt, though, in my mind that they're going to be kicking the tires on every single option that's out there, and they're going to do their due diligence. That's a word that's a phrase you're going to hear a lot between now and the start of next season. But I can't prove that to you. I can only say that with some pretty good knowledge of the situation, that the Eagles are going to be kicking the tires everywhere. Oh, their job's never finished when it comes to finding the next quarterback. It's a quarterback factory, after all. I mean, look, they might turn around and trade Gardner Minshew for something, and that'll be amazing for them. 6th-round pick, they can upgrade. All right, so let's see if that happens. But I don't think that the Eagles are settled on Jalen Hurts right now. I think that the wise play, the smart play, is to give him another year to prove how good he could be, see what the progression will be from year 1 to year 2, and if it's bad, all right, then you move on. Simple as that. One thing I do think will tell a lot from Howie Roseman with this upcoming draft in April is the confidence level in Jalen Hurts won't be with whether or not he takes a quarterback necessarily this year. That would be higher in the draft, maybe even in the first round. One that would actually compete for a starting job with Jalen Hurts. But I think what would be interesting is if Howie Roseman actually takes one of these first-round picks and tries to flip it to next year. That'll be the insurance policy for Jalen Hurts if he doesn't work out this year, this upcoming season as your starting quarterback. That, I think, will be the more telling thing when it comes to the Eagles and it comes to the quarterback position for them. Let's jump in to the Philadelphia 76ers, shall we? Before I do anything with how great Joel Embiid is, I just need to start off with this one thing. I like Doc Rivers. I wanted Doc Rivers to be here in Philadelphia. Doc Rivers has been disappointing, very disappointing. I know that the team was missing Joel Embiid for a stretch there, and he helped keep their heads afloat. He's helped with Tyrese Maxey's, I think, maturation process and his improvement. I think Sam Cassell has helped extremely well in that. But let's put it this way. Doc Rivers can say whatever he wants to say when he tries to describe what he said at the end of last year. And although I liked it because I thought it was honest, and I always want coaches to be honest, that's exactly why you don't have honest head coaches speaking in press conferences. That's exactly why you have coaches coming out trying to cover for their players, trying to take it on the nose like it's their problem, like it was their fault that they lost the game. Oh, it's my fault that Ben Simmons isn't hitting threes or isn't hitting free throws or he passed the ball to Thibault. Like, coaches usually take that responsibility. When Doc Rivers was asked the question point blank, can you win a championship with Ben Simmons? And he said, I don't know. If you're Ben Simmons, yes, that is going to be a slap in the face. Now, should Ben Simmons let the sweat roll off his back and go, all right, let me just get back out there next year and prove how good I can be and that I can lead a team to a championship or at least be the second cog in a wheel with Joel Embiid, that I could be that other leader. He turtled up and now he doesn't want to play. So regardless, Doc should have never said what he said. Doc has not done a good job with the 76ers. They were a number 1 seed last year. They got bounced out in the second round by a team that didn't even go on to win a championship, mind you. They should have at least been in the Eastern Conference Finals. Should have at least been in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since Allen Iverson. Doc has watched this team underachieve with him at the helm. I respect Doc Rivers for being a great coach. I really do. Win a championship, go to another one. You've taken another team deep into the playoffs. But as of late, he has not been a great coach. So the comparison he makes to Pop and himself is ridiculous, especially after blowing a 24-point lead to the hapless LA Clippers like they did on Friday night. And if you haven't seen this yet, this is wild to me. If you were just deep in football all weekend and you said, oh, I'll give the Sixers a break and whatever, you had things going on. If you haven't seen this yet, I want to make sure I show you guys this because it is just bonkers to me. Here is Doc Rivers when he was asked after the Sixers blew a 24-point lead to the Clippers Friday night. Here he is when he was asked about whether or not this game was due to coaching. Here's the question and answer.
What part of this loss would you attribute to coaching?
I don't know. Would you ask Pop that question? No, you wouldn't. So don't ask me that question. I burned that.
All right. I just ripped Doc. Let me just do this for the sake of not clarity, but the fairness. All right. The question was phrased weird. It was a question from a USA Today reporter. And the way the question was phrased was odd. Basically the question was, what about this was your fault? That's it. I don't know if that's the way you asked that. It's definitely a question worth asking. And if you're Doc and you're hearing that, I think you need to answer what could you have done differently? That would probably be the better way to ask that question. But when you ask a head coach to say, what about this was on your plate? What about this was your responsibility? What percentage of this loss is on you, coach? You could still say, I'm a head coach, so I take responsibility for the loss. Yeah, you could take that way out. But instead, inflamed ego. Now all of a sudden, talking about comparisons. Now all of a sudden, he's Pop Rivers. I don't think so. Where the hell? Possibly the greatest coach of all time in the NBA. In Greg Popovich, and a guy who has blown 3-1 series leads like crazy in the playoffs over the last couple of years, a guy that ultimately failed in LA as the Clippers head coach, a guy that won a championship 14 years ago. He's got the cojones to look you dead in the eye like, how dare you, sir, ask me. What about this loss? How much of this loss is on me? How dare you, sir? Legit question. Could it have been phrased different? Sure. But even if it's phrased in even a worse way, hey, so coach, most of this loss was your fault, right? That's the only way I think it could have been worse. Doc's just still say, hey, I'm the head coach. It's all on me. 24-point lead. You blow a 24-point lead. And you got to find a way to stop that. You got to find a way to stop their momentum. Okay. I can't imagine any player answering a question comparing himself to LeBron James or Steph Curry or any of those guys. Oh, would you ask Steph Curry that question? First off, yes. And second, do you have MVPs? Do you have championship trophies? Do you got rings? I can't imagine that. Think about that for a second. Think about it if somebody was, good but not great over the last couple of years, and all of a sudden they're putting themselves in the upper echelon with Greg Popovich, or one of the best to do it, ever. Far cry from that right now. Far cry from that. And I like Doc. I respect Doc. He has underachieved with this Sixers team. And his comments, like it or not, and I do not like how Ben Simmons has reacted to it all, but those aren't comments you should be making after a game like that. Heat of the moment? Yeah, fine, heat of the moment, but you should know better. You've been around long enough not to say what you said. A lot of that is on Doc Rivers. Daryl Morey wants to come out publicly and say that, yes, he wishes he had a better relationship with Ben Simmons. Well, what about Doc? What if Doc never threw Ben Simmons out of practice? Like, that was Doc's reaction. He was being a distraction. He wasn't getting involved. He wasn't getting involved in a defensive thing, so I just sent him home. Okay, well, he was supposed to address the media after that, so I would after that practice. So I would have loved to have seen or heard what Ben Simmons had to say about the whole situation. That would have been great. He probably still would have found a way to get out of it, but still, Doc threw him out, so then it wasn't there. It wasn't happening. And was that really the best way to possibly handle that situation? I think you could look at so many different things with Doc Rivers throughout his time here in Philadelphia. You can look at his rotations, obviously, in that playoff series. I know we could talk a lot about that with the Atlanta Hawks and how his rotation was just bonkers. But I don't look at Doc Rivers like he has been some savior to this franchise. I looked at Doc Rivers as a guy that was supposed to be that savior of the whole process, not just Joel Embiid, but the whole process. He was supposed to be the guy after Brett Brown to take it to the next level. Hasn't happened. They lost in the second round. I saw Brett Brown do that. I've mentioned it many times. I've seen Doug Collins do that. I don't need that. I need an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. I need an NBA Finals appearance. And most above all, I need a championship. And for Doc Rivers to go down the road of, would you ask Pop that question? Ridiculous to me. Sixers did win last night. They lost to the Clippers Friday night. They did win last night in San Antonio. Joel Embiid, 38 points. He's pretty good at basketball, in case you guys haven't noticed. 13 now of his last 14 games, 30-plus points. Not too shabby for the great Joel Embiid. Very impressive performance from him again last night. Here's the thing that was really wild for me last night. Joel Embiid, I think he was only 6 for 7 or 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Usually a lot of his points come, especially late in the game, at the free throw line. Was not the case last night. The Spurs did fight their way back into the game last night as well to make a game of it. It was a wild, wild game last night in San Antonio. But the Sixers were able to hold on for the win. Flyers, wow, 11 straight losses, folks. Claude Giroux had 2 goals against Buffalo. They lost that game, but 11 straight for the Flyers. Again, I would almost feel better if I thought that they were losing because of effort. They're not losing because of effort. They're losing because they're not good. Like, that is the toughest pill to swallow. The fact that they're playing at this level, this low level, and that it's not going to be a typical, fire the head coach and that'll get them going. Well, they fired the head coach, and Mike Yo got him going for like 5 games. They had like a 5 or 6, 7 game point streak. That was cool. And now they're just back to this awful play. And I'm seeing them get opportunities in front of the net. I'm seeing them get scoring chances. I'm just seeing occasionally a dumb play where they create or they give the puck away, and that leads to a goal. Or they're on the doorstep and they can't bury the puck in the back of the net. And effort's there, but the effort might be like they might be in the form of pressing. They might actually have converted from lackadaisical play to now trying too hard, and now in the cliche of gripping the stick too tight. Whenever I see guys miss opportunities right in front of the net, that's where the old gripping the stick too tight comes to mind, and that's what the Flyers might be doing right now. It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't really give a damn anymore. It's just they're just not good. They're really, really bad. They got now, I think, 7 teams in front of you for the last place. There's 7 teams behind you, I guess I should say, for last place in the NHL. If you're going to tank for a better pick, tank a little harder, and let's get to the end of this season. I know the question that is going to be surrounding a lot of people and what's going to be rattling around a lot of people's brains with the Flyers is what they do with Claude Giroux. Last year of his contract, whether or not he would allow his no movement clause to be dissolved so he could be moved. It's going to be interesting how it winds down here in Philadelphia. We'd love for him to stay, but he might be the only guy that could get them back anything in return come the trade deadline. So it's going to be interesting to see. I personally think it would take a lot for Claude Giroux to get traded, for him to move his no trade clause, I should say. I think he's a guy that is very similar to some other athletes that some people might look at in Philadelphia and say, well, why didn't they waive that no trade clause earlier in their careers? Chase Utley comes to mind. Jimmy Rollins comes to mind. Ryan Howard's another one. I think all 3 of those guys are guys that felt responsible for the team being in the spot that they were in. Like, I think when you look at the baseball, you look at the big three with the Phillies, I think those guys, they saw how bad it was getting, and they wanted to be part of the turnaround. Like, I know how great we can be. Let's get back to that. And they wanted to stick it out here in Philadelphia to help turn it around again. I think Claude Giroux is very similar to that. He's been here for a Stanley Cup run. He was on the team in 2010 when they went to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Blackhawks. He knows how good this franchise can be. And I think over his captaincy, he has watched a GM come in trying to rebuild everything in Ron Hextall. I think he has seen another GM come in Chuck Fletcher, and I think not have one damn clue what he's doing. And I think he has seen this team fall farther and farther away from that grace that he came up with in 2010, really. And it's an unfortunate thing. I think he has been the best player on the ice for this Flyers team this year, but I think the Flyers are looking at him right now as a guy that might be able to get them something back in return that nobody else can really do that on this team. Or at least better, a higher return on a trade that nobody else can get you that return. So I think the Flyers are looking at it right now like, what do you think, Claude? You want to get rid of that trade clause? You want to? And he's probably like, no. Well, stay right here and be part of the problem, or excuse me, be part of the solution to this problem. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further, I wanted to make sure I showed this. Do you guys have any kids watching right now? Any kids at home? Are they watching this show? You might want to have them look away, because what you're about to see is the most horrifying thing you could have ever seen on a Sunday afternoon while trying to watch football. Ah! Ah! Look at the blood! People on the podcast, what is he showing? Look at Tom Brady's bloody lip, folks. Is he okay? I'm worried sick about him. That was after Von Miller's helmet, for accuracy. Von Miller's helmet did hit his chin. Then Tom Brady got flagged for an unsportsmanlike penalty. The first ever in his career. And he had a bloody lip. And he was yelling at the official, he hit me in the mouth! He hit me in the mouth! I'm a man! I'm 44! And he hit me in the mouth! And he was bleeding a little bit. And he was a little dramatic about it. He was a little dramatic about it. To get your first ever penalty on sportsmanlike conduct, yeah, it's a little bad. It's a little bad. Let me tell you about my good friend Steve. Before we get to the chat check, ladies and gentlemen, let me get to my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. If you haven't seen it, folks, here it is right up close and personal. You getting that? You seeing the sparkles? Green, emerald, gold, dip rose, 24 karat gold. I hate StevenSinger.com. Perfect Valentine's Day gift. Look at this. Like some people might think of the gold dip rose and they go, really? Are these cool? Boom. Imagine she opens this. Oh, breathtaking. Beautiful. Follow the yellow brick road. It is just that gorgeous. Here it is on their Instagram account. Steven Singer Jewelers. I hate StevenSinger.com. 24 karat emerald city rose. How gorgeous is that? Green, trimmed in the gold, sparkling, catches the eye. Of all the Steven Singer roses I have, this is probably the most unique. It is just that beautiful. And I've got like every one that he's either given away or sold. They are just beautiful. And they're eye-popping. They really are, because they're so unique. And here's the thing. After a while, buy a bunch of these roses, you got a nice little centerpiece for the table. Don't have to worry about watering it. Nothing. Good forever. Lifetime guarantee. At IHateStevenSinger.com. These beautiful 24 karat gold dip roses. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Make sure you guys get there in time before Valentine's Day, before they're all gone. I hate Steven Singer. IHateStevenSinger.com. The other corner of 8th and Walnut. Also looking to get engaged for the big holiday? Look no further than I Hate Steven Singer and IHateStevenSinger.com. The man is just that fantastic at all that he has to offer. Before we get to the chat check, I got one locker room report brought to you by Rothman Orthopaedics, the great people at Rothman Orthopaedics. I was actually moving some boxes around, getting ready for the kid. Due date's Wednesday. Oh, and the final day is a party of 3. You know what I'm saying? Party of 4 after this. So due date's Wednesday for my kid. So I'm moving around a lot of stuff. And I realized my shoulder wasn't bothering me at all. There's a couple of aches and pains here and there. No, thanks to the great people at Rothman Orthopaedics. Tell you about them in just 1 second, but I do have one locker room report soundbite I do want to get to you guys, courtesy of our friend John Clark. Now, I gave you the Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts comparison a second ago. Tony Dungy was asked about Jalen Hurts and Jalen Hurts going forward by John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia. Here's how Tony Dungy had another name for a comparison. This one, for the Jalen Hurts haters, might blow their mind. Listen to this. That is not Tony Dungy. This is Tony Dungy.
A guy named Peyton Manning started our playoff game against the Jets. We lost 41-0. And I heard the same comments. Oh, can Peyton really win big games? And maybe he's not the guy. And then we can talk about it now, and it's ridiculous. So you can't go on one game. And Philadelphia did not play well. Jalen Hurts did not play well in that game. But what I saw over the course of the season was a team that had confidence in their quarterback.
Yeah, they had confidence in the quarterback. So that's good. Peyton Manning's rookie year, he threw 22 interceptions. So, yeah, I guess that's the comparison that Tony Dungy's trying to draw here. You can have really bottom moments, awful moments with some pretty good quarterbacks, guys that go on to have themselves some pretty good careers. So, yeah, let's cross our fingers for Peyton Manning. But that one might be a little out there. That one I might not totally go with you there, Tony. As much as I respect his opinion, I might not totally be there with him. All right, let me tell you about the great people of Rothman Orthopaedics. Hey, remember the old you? The one that didn't have to put up with a fickle knee, a finicky hip, or a shoulder that no longer does what a shoulder should do? Check out the great people of Rothman Orthopaedics at rothmanortho.com. You can get started right now with same-day appointments at rothmanortho.com because the Rothman approach to orthopedics is exactly what you need to get you back to being you, back to walking, running, playing, back to working, back to being the old you. Go to rothmanortho.com. That's rothmanortho.com. The orthopedic practice of your Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies. Let me tell you about the great people, the BetQL. I was looking at that Titans game. I was looking at that Titans-Bengals game, and I said to myself, you know what? I don't think the Bengals are going to get stopped in this game. And this is going to be a huge, huge win for the Bengals. Their first in 25 years to win 2 playoff games. First road playoff win in, 35 years? It was insane. So they get their first win in 25 years last week. They get right out there and get 2 now. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Good God, T. Higgins, you monster. You got just absolutely incredible. They get that win. BetQL was like, yeah, go ahead and bet them. So BetQL is what you got to consult for all your betting research needs. Download the BetQL app to your phone and make sure that you take advantage of all that they're trying to give you when it comes to getting the advantage over your sportsbook. Download the BetQL app right now. They have everything that you need for your betting research needs. When it comes to all their computer model, it scans over 350,000 unique bets to make sure they're giving you the best bet recommendation. So make sure you take advantage of that. It's not just for point scores. It's for player props. It's for everything. Use BetQL and download the BetQL app right now. Let me tell you about the amazing people at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That is phlsportsnation.com. How about BetQL? Hope you guys are having yourself a good time with BetQL throughout the NFL playoffs, also the NBA season as well. BetQL is not a sports book. It's not daily fantasy, but it's a social gaming app where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all, who is the bigger sports fan? Who knows the most about sports? Have that friend or family member who think they know everything about sports? Think they know everything? See if they can walk the walk as well as they talk the talk. Challenge them to a win-view contest and see if they can walk that walk. It's not a sports book, not daily fantasy. It's a social gaming app where you can win real money prizes on making predictions on the games that you love so much. All right, without further ado, let's jump into the chat check and see how you good people are doing from this amazing weekend of football. Let me, Mopar, I'm not disagreeing with that. Kevin, good morning. Mally, good morning. Dan Schwartz, good morning. Oh, wow, Dan, even before I mentioned it, you were out of the gates with it. Yeah, baby, yeah, due tomorrow, or excuse me, due Wednesday. That's the due date, and we'll see how long this goes. I will say we ordered some furniture. No, not from Wayfair, you sick bastards. But we ordered some furniture. I'm not going to throw the company under the bus. But one of the reasons we ordered it like a month and a half ago was because they said, in stock and ready to ship. That was a lie. Okay? That turned out to be a big fat lie. So we're waiting on this new bed frame because I told you guys I did the demo up on our 3rd floor, and we have a nice big bedroom now, and we got it's nice and supposed to be nicer with a bed frame, and we don't even have a bed frame up there. We ordered a new bed frame, and it's not here. So just waiting on that. Supposed to be here a week ago. Not even at the delivery center yet. What is happening? Anyway, that's the life I'm in right now, folks. I know you feel terrible for me. Wow. Yeah, a lot of people are all over this. Yeah. Good morning, Fuji. What's up, buddy? Mally, isn't this week baby number 2 is making an appearance? Well, we hope so. Yeah, Dan, you know what, Dan, you're right. This really could not have worked out better for the NFL. So Dan's saying the overtime rule will be a big debate all offseason, fueling long NFL talk. This could not have worked out better for the NFL. 17-game schedule, 18-week schedule, comes down to week 18. Literally teams like the Steelers, for instance, fighting for their playoff lives, just squeaking in. It came down to 0 time left on the clock in overtime. The NFL season came down, like it could not have gone longer than what it did. Down to the absolute last seconds and beyond. And then you get this grouping of playoffs. You get Saturday and Sunday, divisional round of the playoffs, what you just got. The NFL is just sitting there, and they're like that Jack Nicholson meme where he's just like, yes, more, yes. Like, to me, or GIF, rather, not a meme. But, like, that's what the NFL is going through right now with how amazing their product has been. And like, here's another thing. The NFL used to be in the investigation business when it came to off-the-field happenings of a not good nature. They got out of that. But they were so terrible at that people were like, oh, the NFL, I'm done with the NFL. And then it's like the NFL, more ratings. Yeah, stay away. Try to stay away from what we're doing. You can't. It's impossible. Oh, yeah, Carson Palmer's brother. I forget his name. But yes, Dan, you're right. He is supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. John Cheeseborough, what's up, buddy? Oh, this is interesting. John's saying that he's convinced that overtime should remain sudden death because you had 60 minutes to make plays on offense, defense, and special teams. But to an extent, I feel that way. But if they can extend the game after a field goal, why not after a touchdown? That's the point I more so agree with, John. Guarantee possessions, then go to sudden death. I think the way you have to do it. I hate the regular season is 10 minutes and postseason is 15 minutes. That's not, that doesn't bother me as much. It's either, I think the NFL just needs to either give both teams possessions or the NFL just needs to go to college rules. I think college has that one figured out pretty well. Mopar, it's National Compliment Day. F off, says Mopar. That wasn't me. That was Mopar saying that. I was just reading his comment. Mally, if Joel is not the MVP, the NBA is a joke. Like, I just can't help it. I feel like at the end of the year. And did you notice over the last couple of games, Joel Embiid's assists have been up? Like, I wonder if that's on purpose. Like for instance, I always go back to Wilt Chamberlain. They always said Wilt Chamberlain was a ball hog. So they so one year he led the league in assists just to prove, that he could, right? So I'm like, is Joel Embiid looking at the numbers where he's just like, yeah, no, I'm not just a ball hog. I can share the ball with the best of them, as they say. It wouldn't surprise me. Mopar, last year everyone loved Doc. Where's all that love gone? Out the window, potentially? Mally, Doc honestly destroys every team he coaches, Celtics and Clippers. Here's a conspiracy theory for you. And I say this with zero basis in reality. But just stay with me here. And I think we played it last week. When Daryl Morey was asked by Mike Missinelli about how did we get here to this point with Ben Simmons, Daryl Morey said, does it really matter the reasons? This is where we're at. Like, I don't think Ben likes playing for Doc. That shouldn't be breaking news, especially what I said earlier about the comments that Doc made after they lost to the Hawks in the semifinals. What if one of Ben's things is like, I'm not playing for that guy? Like, maybe I can work it out with Joel Embiid, but I can't work it out with Doc. Like, get somebody else in here. And Daryl Morey is like, I'm not firing Doc. Get the hell out of here. Like, what if that was a sticking point? Like, it wouldn't surprise me. But here's the thing. Of all the things that have leaked out, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons is one thing that has leaked out about Ben not wanting to play with Joel Embiid. That's one of the things that's come out, and that's come from Windhorse. So that's the Ben Simmons camp. So I would say that's pretty accurate if that's what's come out. If he also didn't want to play for Doc Rivers, I'm pretty sure that would be out there as well. So that's the only thing that I would think like would dispel that notion. But when Daryl Morey started talking about the reasons, and does it really matter that the fact is that we're here? Like, I understand he's not going to tell us what Rich Paul told him when they had that nice little lunch meeting. But those are just some things that jump to mind. Like, I wonder if it goes beyond just Joel Embiid. I wonder if it also goes to Doc Rivers, which doesn't seem that far off when you consider what Doc had to say after they got bounced out of the playoffs last year. So that was just one of the things. It was just one of those things that was like rattling around in my brain over the weekend. It was just like, what if Ben just doesn't want to play for Doc? Like, what if it's not just Joel Embiid? What if it's just a matter of like, yeah, I'll play. I can play with Joel. I'll make that happen, but I'm done with Doc. Get him the hell out of here. Wouldn't be I wouldn't really think that would be too much of a stretch. Ray, what's going on, Ray? Ray says, let's not get too excited about the Sixers. Their last 11 games have only played two teams that are barely over 500. Here's the thing. I'm not really that excited about the Sixers. I'm excited about Joel Embiid. Like, one of the things I said last week was, it's killing me to watch the Sixers right now. And someone's like, it's really killing you? They're 2.5 games out of first place in the Eastern Conference. How is that killing you? Joel Embiid's amazing. It's because I know how much better they can be. I know the full potential of this team if they get somebody to play next to Joel Embiid. As great as Joel Embiid is playing, imagine if they had somebody else. Imagine if they had a solid number 2 guy playing next to him. I'm not in this just like, I would love for Joel Embiid to win an MVP, and I hope it happens this year. It should happen this year. I'd love for it to happen. But I'm not in this just to watch Joel Embiid win an MVP. If it happens, great. I enjoyed the hell out of Allen Iverson's career in Philadelphia, and all we really had from that was a finals run and an MVP. Now I want the finals run. That's not going to happen unless you're building around Joel Embiid, unless you're getting more pieces to add to this puzzle, and there are huge puzzle pieces missing. One of the other things Daryl Morey said in that interview with Mike was that they have a Ben Simmons-sized hole on this team that only Ben Simmons can really fill. If they just put Ben Simmons on this team, your defense is better, your rebounding is better, you're getting more opportunities on offense, you have a solid facilitator, an all-star facilitator running your offense. So, yeah, I'd like to see that hole filled. And I'm still the guy that would say, yeah, Ben, come on back. Yeah, I'd welcome him back with open arms. I really would. Come on and play. Because all I care about is winning. All this other stuff, like, if it means you don't have to give up what you already have, and Daryl Morey's still going to add to this team regardless of the deadline, it's probably not going to be the Ben Simmons deal. But if you can add to this team still, and then also Ben Simmons is still here, then this team can still win a championship. But that's not happening. Like, that's a fantasy land. So until they find a way to fill that void by not having Ben Simmons come back and trading and bringing back a piece, then Joel Embiid, I feel like you're wasting him. So, yes, that kills me to think, oh, as great as he's playing right now, you could be better. As great as Joel Embiid is, the rest of this team could be better. So that's what kills me. It's the fact that he's so great and the rest of the team's okay. Just okay. You don't win many championships with one guy that's great, then a bunch of guys that are just okay. So, yeah, for me, that's a bit of a problem. Tobias Harris's number's been up recently. I had him at the under last night at 18.5. He scored 18 on the dot. Ha-ha! Mo money, mo problems, though. You know? And then Tyrese Maxey also had 18 last night for the Sixers. So that was nice. I'm gonna close on a point about Joel Embiid, but I'll get to that in a minute. Mally says, Ray, it's a win-win. Don't care what team it is. What? Oh, I'm talking about trading Simmons? I feel like I missed a paragraph or something here. Mopar, we hated every single coach manager in this city. Yeah, well, we have our love and hate moments, that's for sure. Let's see. Dan Schwartz, don't talk about Doc Rivers, Mark. It's Pop Rivers now, for those that are concerned. You want to talk about Dr. J, would you? No, you wouldn't. He's earned that title of having most 3-1, 3-2 blown playoff series leads. Julian, late night. It was a late night. Yeah. There's Ray again. Always. John Cheeseborough, I always felt Doc Rivers was a compromise that everyone could agree on. Brand wanted somebody, he forgets who. I think ownership wanted D'Antoni. Then it was like, you all good with Doc Rivers? Yeah, I'm okay with Doc Rivers. That's right. D'Antoni was there to slide over in the Brett Brown's chair if Brett got fired. He was there for that one. I think it was 1 year. That never happened, obviously. I know Scott O'Neill really wanted D'Antoni. I've heard that from multiple people. And it just never happened. They just never fired Brett. So D'Antoni left, obviously. And now Ime Udoka, now the Boston Celtics head coach, he was right there to slide over in that spot. That's why he was the assistant coach, the highest paid assistant coach in the NBA that year. Now he's obviously coaching the Celtics. But yeah, I think did Brand want Tyronn Lue? I think he wanted Tyronn Lue, who I still say was not the guy. And I was adamant against it then. I'm adamant against it still. But if you wanted to bring him in now, actually, I'd be fine with that. It's like, now that I don't think Ben Simmons is part of this picture. Because I think Ben would have blown up whoever would have come in here. And you could make the connection between Ben and LeBron and Tyronn. There you go. And say, oh, well, LeBron would have said, shut up, Ben, listen to my guy. And I would have loved to have seen that happen, but I just doubt it. Kevin, Jalen Hurts is so far from anything that we saw this weekend. He is very far. Right now. 2 years? Who knows? Maybe he is putting up numbers like Josh Allen. Oh, my God. Tony DeLeo. Wow. Tony DeLeo coached the Sixers, and his previous coaching experience was coaching women in Germany. That's a fun fact. Okay. And I remember after they lost to the Orlando Magic in the playoffs, Tony DeLeo was pissed about 3-second violations. I have never seen that. Yeah, well, I don't know what you want us to do with the 3-second violations. I'm sorry, what? The Sixers pulled that crap pre-process. Oh, well, Tony DeLeo's going to come down. He's going to coach now. I'm sorry, who? What? It was Jeff Van Gundy, Stan Van Gundy. After that game, he was coaching the Magic at the time. And he went right on. He must have been sitting in the wings waiting for Tony DeLeo's press conference to end. And he went up there and then started mocking Tony DeLeo for complaining about 3 seconds. It was just a good time. Good times. Thank you for whoever brought that up. Who was it brought that up? Mally. Bring back Tony DeLeo. Oh, my God. A lot of people enjoying the Tony. Cody just said, Farzy, you're a rose. Thank you. Missed the top of the show. Did Farzy talk about Hurts compared to the 4 quarterbacks yet? Yes, I did. Still a far cry. He is. Like, no, don't get me wrong. What we saw yesterday and Jalen Hurts are not in the same stratosphere. Not at all. But if you compare Jalen Hurts to, the only one I mentioned was Josh Allen. Josh Allen, in his first year as a full-time starter, which was also his second year in the NFL, numbers are eerily similar. Hurts actually beat him in completion percentage and passer rating, which was wild. And he also threw 9 interceptions, as did Josh Allen. And Josh Allen had 20 touchdowns to Hurts' 16. The thing that I did find interesting was Hurts only played 15 games where Josh Allen played 16 games. So I know that's one thing. Oh, I didn't mention this. Their quarterback rating, their QBR, not passer rating, but QBR. Josh Allen was at 49.5. Jalen Hurts, 48.7. They were less than a point separated in QBR, and then Hurts had a 2-point advantage in passer rating. Those were amazing numbers. First year of starting quarterbacks. Amazing. Evan, baby needs to be named Mally Farzetta. I thought I mentioned the name. We really like the name Leonardo. And then my uncle passed away some years ago. My uncle Sonny, whose real name was Lewis. We like Lou as a middle name for my uncle. Yeah, my dad's oldest brother. So yeah, hopefully we meet him soon. John is money just like a cheese board. What the hell? Oh no, Rick, you have 4 late furniture deliveries? It sucks, bro. Wait, you're hurting your audience by not naming Farzy? What? Oh, you're talking. Rick says BetQL has the baby due on Friday. That's great. If you name the furniture company, it'll be there by Wednesday. That's the thing. Like, I'm looking forward to like being there for my wife while she's in labor, and the place calls me, and they're like, "Oh, we have your bed frame. We're outside." And I'm like, "Babe, just hold on a second. I gotta take it. It's a bed frame." And she'd be like, "Okay, it's a bed frame. And you can make sure they get it." And then, "Okay, yeah, guys, stay right up 3rd floor. All right, right in the middle of that brick wall. Yeah, I did the demo. Thank you. You're welcome." Anyway, he's Mahomes. Yeah, get Carson Palmer's brother in here. Let's party. Everyone is blaming the NFL rules. No, squib kick is right. No, that's we mentioned that earlier. They should have. I think they were deathly afraid of giving them an opportunity to run that football back with only 13 seconds left. But it was just insane. Absolutely insane weekend of football all around. Here's what I wanted to close on with Joel Embiid. So I thanks everyone who participated in the chat check. Appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Here's what I got for you in our morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. When it comes to Joel Embiid, it's an amazing thing because I know I was hard on Joel Embiid. I've always been a fan of Joel Embiid. Always loved Joel Embiid. Never wanted him to leave Philly. Couldn't wait for him to play. And I've just been amazed by his progression in the NBA and how well he has played and how much better he has gotten since the first day we saw him. Joel Embiid is why we're hard on athletes. He's a perfect case study in this. We saw flashes in his first year or two in the league of how great he could be if he got into better shape, if he improved his mid-range game, his outside shooting, if he improved his footwork. He got in better shape. His footwork now on both ends of I always think offensively his footwork was off the charts dazzling. Defensively, he had to work on his footwork, and he did that, and he's amazing. The conditioning I mentioned, the free throw shooting, the three-point shooting, which is a part of his game, the handle he has had in his game. Joel Embiid, those are all things that we talked about early on in his career that he needed to improve upon. Even last year we were talking about him getting into shape. It didn't look like a problem. That narrative was dispelled in the early goings of last year. And now we have this guy that has worked himself into being a perennial MVP candidate and a guy then that can put a team on his back and carry them in the playoffs. If not through the regular season, if not in the playoffs, at least through the regular season and into the playoffs. Every athlete we ask that they give us their best. They work their ass off and they do nothing but give us their best every single night. Joel Embiid is that guy. And that's what he has given you really over the last 4 or 5 years. He has given you nothing but steady improvement. And this level of play that he is at right now is exactly where we thought he could be if he reached his full potential. And there's still potential to be had. That's the amazing thing. He still hasn't won an MVP, still hasn't won a championship, still hasn't got to the conference finals, still hasn't played at an NBA final. Like, we all know what he's done and what he hasn't done. His resume will get filled out throughout his NBA career. But watching him progress, like, people say, oh, you got to be easier on these guys, whatever. We booed Joel Embiid at times. Joel Embiid told us to shush, right? And I thought that was hilarious, for the record. But when it comes to everything else with Joel Embiid, this is exactly what we want from all our athletes, to reach their potential. Joel Embiid has worked his ass off to reach his full potential, and he's in the midst of reaching it. He keeps on raising the bar because he's working his ass off so much on his game. Now, I think a lot of it is self-motivated. I think some of that is the fans reminding him, as we had a little Twitter exchange before the season started where Joel Embiid asked us to be better. Now, Joel, we were on the same page. Like, you needed to get better, and you got better. He also became a father. I think that had a lot to do with it. We talked to some writers. Marcus Hayes was one of them, was on this show talking about how fatherhood really changed his mindset and his mentality, really made him grow up. Hey, since he's been a dad, Joel Embiid is in the MVP conversation. Runner-up last year, and will be at least, the very least, in the conversation again this year. 13 out of 14 games, 30-plus points, so that's going to turn some heads. Keep those assist numbers popping. Keep that defense up there. Right now, I think he's fifth in the odds in defensive player of the year. Keep all those numbers coming. Keep all those votes coming. And we're going to see this guy really reach his full potential individually. And then hopefully the Sixers reward that and build around him and not waste years of his prime when it comes to how great he is playing for this franchise. And they could build something around him and make this not just one player or a team about one player playing great, but make this a great team competing for a championship. And that's what we're all crossing our fingers now. And Joel Embiid has reached his potential, and he continues to push that bar higher and higher and higher, and push that level of expectation higher and higher and higher. Now, hopefully, the Sixers reward that, and they do right by him and build around him to make sure that this franchise continues to try to grasp what they could reach and try to reach their potential. That's what I'm hoping for. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, guys. Pleasure as always. Be back with you guys tomorrow with some more breakdowns of the NFL playoffs, as well as Ben Simmons trade suggestions. Couple of deadlines proposed by our friend Michael Kasky-Blomain of CBSSports.com. 3 trade scenarios that did not include Ben Simmons. We'll get into that tomorrow as well. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. This was a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. Jim Hyden produced the show. I'm Marc Farzetta. Have a great day. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.